Hello and welcome to this braking tutorial on F123. I'm going to teach you the basics on how to master the braking technique that is critical to go fast in downforce cars and especially F123. The first thing we're going to be talking about in this guide is going to be the braking bias. Defaulted, it's at 63%, what is way too high. What you want to be doing from the optimal brake bias is going to be 56%, especially as a beginner. As you get more and more comfortable, more and more in the zone with the game as well, you can start to lower that down to 55, 54, and in extreme cases 53% as well. But as a beginner, 56% will be the perfect balance to give you the confidence under braking. The first thing we're going to be talking about is straight line braking, especially here in Monza is probably the best example that you can practice your straight line braking. What is a straight line braking as a basic example? A straight line braking is where you do 80% of your braking in a straight line. The second chicane here at Monza is a great example. You'll be braking at the 100-meter board, and then you'll be going into the corner with very little braking while turning effect, and you can do this in a very simple and methodical way. What you're going to be looking for as you go through the braking zones here in Monza, straight line braking, is a braking technique called trail braking. What is trail braking, you might ask? If you look to the middle of the screen, just underneath the logos of the halo, you can see that I have my red bar that indicates how much brake pressure I'm putting into the braking system of the car. Equally, on the other side, you have the throttle, what is lighted up in green, but we're not going to be talking about that directly in this video. So, trail braking is when you hit the brake pedal hard initially and reduce slowly off the brake pedal the closer you get to the corner. What makes trail braking very difficult to master is a Formula 1 car has the more grip the faster it travels due to downforce, and you can have way over 4 or 5 tons of downforce on the car when you're traveling at speed. So when you start traveling at speed, you can start to hit the brake pedal faster. So we're going to go up into 6th gear here, hit the brake pedal. You can see we can stay 100% for a very long time before we start to lock up. We travelled a good few meters before we started to lock up, but you can see it was relatively controlled. What we're going to do is the same experiment on the exit of the corner, being in 2nd gear, revved out at 93 miles an hour. We're going to hit the brake pedal and we lock up straight away. So what does this tell you, and what am I going to explain to you with this situation? Is that the faster you go, the more grip you have. The more grip you have, the harder you can hit the brake pedal. And you see, we're going to do this example again, up in 7th gear, full brake pedal, and we travel a very long distance before we start to lock up the tyres. So within this, you can start to manually allocate braking percentages to your gear allocation. So for example, when you're in 1st gear, maybe you can only apply 60% brake pressure. When you're in 2nd gear, maybe you can start to apply 80% brake pressure. When you're in 3rd gear, 85, 90 maybe, and 4th, 90, and basically once you go to 5th, you can start to apply 100% brake pressure, and 100% brake pressure will apply to 6th, 7th, and 8th gear. Why is this important? Because basically the speed that you're going in the RPM range will indicate what gear you can be in. For example, 2nd gear has a maximum of 93 miles an hour, 3rd gear has a maximum of 113 miles an hour, 4th gear has a maximum of 134 miles an hour, and 5th gear has a maximum of 155 miles an hour. So when you start to hit the brake pedal, you can be confident that while you are in 8th gear like right now, you can hit the brake pressure at 100%. As soon as I go down to 4th gear, I'm going to go to 90%, 3rd gear 85%, and so on. So look, down the gears, and as soon as I get down to the allocated gear, I start releasing the brake pedal in a smooth transition and start to bleed the brake pedal off into the apex. This is a simple way for your brain to remember to trail brake, to avoid locking up, and to have allocation with gears, and allows you to allocate the ability in the brain to memorize what percentage of the brake pedal to be at certain points in the corner. So as we was talking about earlier, with the straight line braking, we're going to use an example into 2nd chicane. We're going to hit the brake pedal and then start to bleed off when we get lower and lower in the gears and going into the corner. What I recommend for you doing at home at a very starting baseline allocation is to start doing this corner over and over again, and start to just carry more speed in. See, that time it was 71 miles an hour at the apex. We're going to aim for 76 miles an hour at the apex this time, using the flashback feature within the game. So what we're going to do, 7th gear, hit the brake pedal, bleed off, and we actually went for 80 miles an hour on the apex this time. So you can see each time we're doing this, we're getting a bit more confidence to throw the car in, to carry speed. And down the gears, down to 3rd gear, and that time was actually a bit more slower, but it's all part of the learning process. Sometimes you'll go faster, sometimes you'll go slower as well. So, bleeding on and examining further from that point onwards is, as you are decelerating, you have less grip. The same technique and the same mindset also needs to be applied for when the steering wheel is being turned or not. When we are traveling in a straight line, we're going to do the same example from before with 7th gear on the exit of the corner. And we're going to go up to 7th gear and we're going to brake completely in a straight line. And you're going to see how long it takes for the car to slow down. So once we get underneath the bridge, hit the brake 100%, and it took until 70 miles an hour to slow down. We're going to actually look at that approximately for you as well. So using the replay feature of the game, you can see the tyres are still not locked. We get down to, what is this, 70 miles an hour, and then the tyres lock. So that's a good reference to have, right? And using the same flashback feature in the game, so the scenarios are exactly the same. We're going to turn the steering wheel aggressively, and we hit the wall, but you can see that the tyres were locking up straight away. So you can see we hit the wheel, and you can see the tyres were just locked up already before we hit the wall. Nothing we could do to not hit the wall. It's just part of the example that I'm using you at home. And you can see already, what is this in the game? We can't actually see the miles per hour. So I'm going to do that one more time for you at home so we can see the exact miles an hour that the front tyres locked up at as well. So going onto the bridge, turning the wheel, and now we're going to be able to see at least the miles per hour. So we turn the wheel, and you can see once the tyres are unlocked, fully locked I should say, I unwind the steering wheel. So now you can see the tyres are locked at 111 miles an hour, comparing to 70, and this just shows the effect of having steering load on the tyres and how that affects your braking ability going into the corner. So we are going to combine the two latest theories into one, and how we can start to apply and approach the corners in a competitive and also consistent baseline manner. So what we're going to do right now is combine the two knowledges of the more speed we have, the more grip we have. And the more the steering wheel is in a straight line, the more grip we have as well. And the less the steering wheel is in a straight line, the less grip we have. And the less speed we have, the less grip we have. Bit of a tongue twister for you at home, but I hope it makes sense for you. So we're going to apply that knowledge going into this corner, and we're going to break it down in a very slow and simple way, and then we're going to do it in a much faster way after this. So approaching the corner, we'll be in 8th gear. Let's call it 8th gear for now. What we're going to be doing at the 100-meter board is hitting the brake pedal 100% down the gears, and then once we reach down to 4th gear, we're going to start releasing the brake pedal. And then as we start to turn in further and further and further and adding more and more and more steering lock, we will basically start to release the brake pedal more and more and more. As we get to the apex, we will have 0% brake pressure by the time we reach this point. So let's get into a live full speed demonstration of this. You see now, approaching down to the corner, 50% on the brake bias, 100-meter board as our reference, starting out 100% brake pressure. As we lose downforce, we go down the gears, and you can see we start to release the brake pedal as we go into the corner. We're going to take that look back in the replay camera. As you can see, going into the corner, hit the brake pressure at 100-meter boards, down into 4th gear, and we start to release the brake pedal as we go into the apex. So now down to 4th gear, and now we are fully off the brake pedal. We're going to do that one more time for you at home and watch the red bar for the braking. 100% brake pressure, down to 4, start to release, to the apex, 0% brake pressure, and we're going to start doing that over and over and over again, and we're going to start to stamp that into our minds. 100 meter board, and now going down into 4th gear, down the gears, and you can see as we start to turn in, we release the brake pressure, just sort of pretend there's an egg underneath the brake, releasing it so carefully. And now, turn 1, one of the biggest braking zones in the game. 100 meter board, down into 3rd gear, slam the brake, 100% brake pressure in a straight line, and see we get to 3rd gear, start to release the brake pedal, and turn the car in gradually. I think I actually went down to 2nd gear there, my apologies, was meant to be taking it in 3rd. And the same approach, what we're going to do, 100 meter board, down the gears, and as we get to 4th gear, start to release the brake pressure, and when we start to turn in, be so carefully, and that is very beautifully through the 2nd chicane here in Monza. 6th gear, we can only apply the brake pressure by a little bit because we're turning straight away, and we're going to use that example to break down a further analysis that we're going to be touching on in this video. So the reason we could use less than 50% brake pressure is because we spend approximately 2 meters of the braking zone in a straight line. Because we started to turn in immediately, we could only use 50% brake pressure to allocate the tires having less grip because we are turning in this example. So as you can see, coming up the corner a very smooth way. 6th gear, 100% brake pressure because we're in a straight line, and now we can start to release the brake pressure off as we go through the corner. Now coming up to Ascari, the corner we're doing an example for, 8th gear, 100% brake pressure, and start to breathe it off as we go down the gears and get to the apex. That is lovely through there, and on the exit we're coming up to the final corner here in Monza, and this will be the final corner we use for this tutorial here. 100 meter board, bleed off as we go down the gears and down into the apex and apply more steering force into the car. So hopefully you have found this basic example for beginners about how to use the brake bias in the F1 23 game, how to apply trail braking correctly and use the idea of different speeds, allocates different grips, and how the steering wheel and the steering ratio of the car can affect the grip as well going into the corners. So one final time, hit the brake pressure as hard as you can, as long as you're going significant speed to have the grip to do it, and then bleed off the brake pressure oh so carefully and oh so slowly as you get towards the apex or the corner. If you find yourself locking up one tire going into the apex, it's normally because you started to apply the steering too early. If you find yourself locking up both front tires going into the apex, it's normally because you applied too much braking force. With that being said, we're going to be doing follow-up videos on this series and doing a more middle term and advanced braking techniques for you at home. I did a lot of these videos back on F1 22, and I'm looking to get back into this sort of tutorial and how to help you at home get better at the F1 games. That being said, I've been Brendan Lee. If you found this video helpful, informative, and ability for you to go faster and enjoy yourself driving as much as possible, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. I've been Brendan Lee, glad to have you, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao, ciao.